I've been thinking lately about the difference between being intentional with your life and gripping your life so tightly that nothing can breathe. Because sometimes what we call discipline is really pressure. Sometimes what we call control is really fear. And sometimes what we call staying on track is actually our nervous system trying to keep everything from falling apart. And sometimes we are not creating from alignment. We are creating from the part of us that is trying to hold 30 corks underwater at the same time and wondering why we are exhausted. So today, I want to talk to you about how you can shift from gripping to grace, because alignment is not only about controlling every part of your life, it is about becoming coherent enough to let your life move through you. And once you understand the difference, you can start to recognize when you're forcing your life and when you are actually creating from truth and in flow. And that is what we are going to be talking about today on Infinite You. Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm Dr. Sheri, spiritual psychologist, multidimensional mindset mentor, and human potential catalyst. And on this channel, we explore how you can consciously create your life through the power of mindset, psychology, energy alignment, and powerfully stepping into the version of you who is creative, abundant, and fulfilled. And if this kind of conversation resonates with you, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like, and share this video with anyone who you think may benefit from it. And stay with me until the end, because I will share a simple place to begin if you recognize that you have been gripping your way through life and you are ready to create from a different identity. So let's dive in. I want to start with this today. Gripping can manage behavior, but gripping cannot shift vibration. And that matters because many of us have learned how to manage the outside of our lives while the inside still feels like pressure. We can manage the schedule, we can manage the plan, we can manage the food, the business, the relationship, the money, the image, the mood, the next step, and sometimes management is definitely necessary. We are in a physical world. We're in this three-dimensional reality, in these physical bodies, and there are things to do, and there are responsibilities to hold. There are decisions to make. There are bills to pay, bodies to care for, relationships that require presence. So this is not about pretending that we don't need structure or action or focus or the need to be responsible, because we do. But there's a difference between aligned structure and gripping. There is a difference between devotion and pressure. And there is a difference between being intentional with your life and trying to force your life into submission. And you can feel the difference. Gripping feels tight. It feels urgent. It feels like if you let go for 1 second, everything will fall apart. It feels like you have to keep watching, managing, fixing, checking, correcting, and controlling. It feels like your peace depends on everything behaving exactly the way you need it to behave. And that is exhausting, because gripping is like trying to hold, like I said, 30 corks underwater. You spend your time and energy in the illusion you're keeping everything down, managing the surface. Everything's under control. You may even look like you have it all together, but the pressure is still there. The corks are still there. The energy has not transformed. You are just using enormous force and focus to keep everything from popping back up. And this is what so many of us do with our patterns, right? We grip the behavior, we grip the habit, we grip the reaction, we grip the desire, we grip the timing, the outcome, the plan. We grip the version of ourselves we think we are supposed to be. And then we wonder why we are tired. We wonder why discipline feels unsustainable. We wonder why rest feels unsafe. We wonder why receiving feels uncomfortable. We wonder why our bodies feel tense even when we are doing all the right things. And I think that this is such an important distinction because gripping can sometimes create results. You can force yourself into a routine. You can pressure yourself into productivity. You can control your way into a result. You can keep things moving through willpower. You can even look successful from the outside. But if the energy underneath has not shifted, you may still feel like you are dragging the old identity into a new life. You may be doing the new behavior from the old fear. You may be taking the action from the old pressure. You may be saying the right words while your nervous system is still reeling or bracing. And you may be creating what looks like progress while your inner world still feels chaotic, constricted, unsettled, unsafe. This is why alignment is not just behavior. Alignment is coherence. Alignment is vibrational. It is energetic. It is flowy, and it matters. How we feel is vibrational. What we attract is vibrational. How we create, imagine is vibrational. It is when your choices, your energy, your truth, your desire, your body, your beliefs, and your identity begin to move in the same direction. Not perfectly, not all at once, not in some polished, spiritually performative way, but true honesty, right? More honestly than before. And this is where grace comes in, because grace is not passivity. Grace is not giving up. Grace is not pretending the thing doesn't matter. Grace is not sitting back and saying, well, whatever happens, happens, while you abandon your own desire. Grace is a different relationship with creation. Grace is participation without the death grip. It is action without self-punishment. Grace is devotion without proving. Grace is trust without collapsing. Grace is letting yourself be guided while still being willing to move. Grace is where you stop trying to control every variable and start becoming the version of you who can hold the next level with more openness, more truth, more capacity, and definitely more flow and a higher vibration. Grace is flow. Grace is embodiment. Grace is ease. It is connection to soul, to your essence, to your truth, your quantum self. Grace is connection to all that is. And for many of us, that is the shift. Not from action to no action, but from gripping to alignment, from pressure to devotion, from force to coherence, from trying to control every outcome to creating from a truer identity. Because sometimes the part of you that is gripping is not the part of you that knows what is possible. It is the part of you that has learned to survive. It is the part of you that has learned, I have to hold everything together. I have to be the responsible one. I have to make sure nothing goes wrong. I have to stay ahead of disappointment. I have to prevent rejection. I have to prove I can do this. I have to make it happen, because if I do not, it will not happen. And I want to honor that part, because that part probably helped you. That part probably protected you. It probably helped you function. It probably helped you function in seasons where you did not have the support, the safety, the clarity, or the space you needed. But the part of you that helped you survive may not be the part of you that can help you receive. I want you to really hear that. The part of you that helped you survive may not be the part of you that will help you receive. The part of you that learned to control may not be the part of you that can help you create from joy. The part of you that learned to brace may not be the part of you that can help you live in flow. The part of you that helped you learn to grip may not be the part of you that can help you embody freedom. This is all about conscious creation. It's all about what it is you want, what your soul came here for. So the question becomes, what would happen if you stopped trying to force the corks underwater? What would happen if instead of gripping every reaction, every fear, every old story, every outcome, you got curious about what is actually trying to rise within you? What belief is surfacing? What fear is surfacing? What identity is surfacing? What part of you is asking to be seen, understood, healed, integrated, or released? Because that answer is not always more force. Sometimes that answer is more awareness, more honesty, more presence, more compassion, more alignment, more willingness to create from the version of you who does not need to grip so tightly to feel safe. And this does not mean you let your life become chaotic. It simply means that you stop confusing control with safety. You stop confusing pressure with commitment. You stop confusing tension with responsibility. You stop confusing self-force with alignment, and you begin to ask a different question. Not, how do I make myself do this? But who am I when this becomes true for me? Who am I when I trust myself? Who am I when I allow support? Who am I when I can receive without bracing? Who am I when I can take action without proving? Who am I when I can create without needing the outcome to validate my worth? Who am I when I let my soul lead and my human self participate? That is the movement from gripping to grace. And I want to be clear. Grace still has structure. Grace still has standards. Grace still has boundaries. Grace still takes action. Grace still makes decisions. Grace still follows through. But the energy is different. The vibration is different. You are not fighting yourself into becoming. You are allowing yourself to become more honest, more coherent, more aligned, and more available for what you say you want. And when you create from that place, life feels different. Your body feels different. Your choices feel different. Your desire feels different. Your relationship with timing feels different. Your relationship with receiving feels different. You are still participating in your life, but you are not trying to strangle the life out of it. You are not holding everything down. You are not micromanaging every possibility. You are making your worth dependent on you are not making your worth dependent upon the outcome. You are creating from a different identity. And this is where I think the real work begins, because so many people are trying to manifest from the identity that is gripping, trying to create abundance from the identity that feels unsafe receiving, trying to create visibility from the identity that is afraid of being seen, trying to create freedom from the identity that believes control is the only way to survive, trying to create joy from the identity that thinks it has to be earned. So here is the invitation. You can begin to create from somewhere else. You can begin to see the old pattern without becoming it. You can honor the part of you that learned to grip without letting it lead your whole life. You can let awareness become embodiment. You can choose action that feels aligned instead of action that feels punishing. You can let devotion replace pressure. You can let trust replace over control. You can let coherence replace force. You can begin creating from the version of you your soul already knows. So if you recognize yourself in this, I want you to pause and ask, where am I gripping? Where am I trying to control the surface instead of shifting the identity underneath? Where am I using pressure to control something my soul wants to create through alignment? Where am I trying to hold the corks underwater instead of listening to what is trying to rise? Because that question can change everything. Not because you need to drop everything and stop caring, but because you may be ready to care from a different place, a truer place, a freer place, a more embodied place. And if you want a place to begin, this is exactly why I created the Quantum Identity Playbook. The playbook will help you see old stories, patterns, reactions, beliefs, and identity loops you may have been creating from, so you can begin making the pivot into what your soul already knows you are. It is not about forcing yourself to become someone new. It is about seeing clearly enough to stop creating from the old operating system and begin creating from truth, alignment, and possibility. And I will put the link for the Quantum Identity Playbook below. It's really amazing. It really is. And I will also put a link for my free newsletter. And if this conversation resonated with you, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to Infinite You, and stay close to all of these amazing conversations about consciously creating your life, higher vibration, joy, abundance, fulfillment, all the things that we humans came here for. And I will see you all next time, beautiful souls. Namaste.